The silver-hulled ships of the Galactic Council's exploratory fleet dropped out of FTL on the edges of the Sol system. Admiral Tejo stood on the command deck, scanning the holographic displays with practiced precision. His scaled fingers moved across the controls as the fleet positioned itself in a standard formation. "Energy readings are off the charts," reported Science Officer Jinsu. "This cannot be right. Our records show this system harbored only primitive bipeds 500,000 years ago." Jinsu's eyes widened as she adjusted her instruments. "Admiral, I'm detecting artificial structures throughout the entire system. There's a ring around the fourth planet, and the inner planets appear to have been modified." Tahoe leaned forward, his crest rising in alarm. "Show me." The main view screen shifted to display the inner solar system. What should have been a simple star with orbiting planets had been transformed. A cloud of countless small objects surrounded the star itself, capturing its energy. The inner planets showed signs of massive engineering projects. "The third planet, Earth, has changed dramatically since our last survey," Jinsu continued. "Surface temperatures are controlled, oceans have been reshaped, and there appear to be orbital platforms connected to the surface." Before Tahoe could respond, the void before them rippled. Space itself seemed to fold as massive vessels materialized, elegant constructs of dark metal and pulsing light, arrayed in perfect geometric formations that stretched beyond visual range. "Defensive positions," ordered Tahoe, but he knew their weapons would be useless against such a fleet. The human ships dwarfed the Council vessels by a factor of 10. "Incoming transmission," announced Communications Officer Yunji, her voice wavering. A human figure appeared on the main display. The being looked similar to the images in their historical records, but more refined. Perfect skin, clear eyes, a composed expression. "Greetings, representatives of the Galactic Council. I am Fleet Commander Do-Yun of Earth's Vanguard Division. We've been expecting you." Tahoe's 4 hearts nearly stopped. "You know of us. We've observed Council activities for centuries." Do-Yun replied with a slight smile. "We simply chose to remain undisturbed until we were ready." "Impossible," whispered Science Officer Jinsu. "The species on this planet was barely using stone tools when our ancestors first cataloged this system." "500,000 years is a long time," Commander Do-Yun said. "We made good use of it." Tahoe exchanged glances with his senior officers. The Council had explored the galaxy for millions of years, cataloging thousands of worlds and species. They had established protocols for first contact with developing civilizations. But this was unprecedented. A species leaping from stone tools to surpassing Council technology in merely 500,000 years. "We would like to invite representatives aboard our command vessel," Do-Yun continued. "We have much to discuss." "Admiral," whispered Security Chief Hyunwoo, "this could be a trap." Tahoe considered his options. Their scanners could not penetrate the human vessels. Their weapons would be useless against such advanced technology. If the humans wanted to destroy them, they already could have. "We accept your invitation," Tahoe replied, trying to keep his voice steady. Within minutes, a smaller human vessel approached. It was sleek and seemed to bend light around it, making it difficult to focus on directly. When it docked with the Council ship, Tahoe and a small delegation waited in the docking bay. The airlock opened to reveal 3 humans. They wore simple gray uniforms with no visible weapons or protection. Commander Do-Yun led them, flanked by 2 others. "Admiral Tahoe," said Do-Yun with a slight bow. "This is Science Director Minji and Diplomatic Liaison Chuno." Tahoe introduced his own team, trying to hide his amazement at being face to face with a species that had advanced so rapidly. "We understand this is surprising for you," said Minji. Her voice was gentle. 500,000 years ago, your survey ships found our ancestors using primitive tools, living in small tribes. "Your development is unprecedented," said Jinsu. "No species has ever advanced so quickly." Chunho smiled. "Perhaps because no species was left alone for so long. We had time to develop without outside influence. We discovered spaceflight, then solar system travel, then how to harness our sun's energy. But how did you know about us? Asked Tao. Doyan's expression grew serious. 100,000 years ago, we detected your observation satellites at the edge of our system. Rather than announce ourselves, we studied them. We learned your communication protocols, languages, and tracking systems. We decided to wait until we were ready for contact. Ready for what? Asked Tao. To join the galactic community as equals, said Juno, or to defend ourselves if necessary. Tao noticed that despite their friendly manner, there was steel behind the humans' words. They had prepared for any outcome. We have been watching your council's expansion, continued Doyan. We've seen how you classify and sometimes restrict developing civilizations. We chose to reveal ourselves only when we could meet you with equal or greater technology. Tao understood the strategy. The Council indeed had protocols for managing contact with primitive species, sometimes limiting their development to prevent them from becoming threats. We mean no harm, said Minji, seeing Taho's expression. But we wanted to ensure humanity would never be at anyone's mercy. Our fleet is just one aspect of our civilization. We invite you to Earth to see what humans have become. As Taho looked at these beings, so similar to the primitive creatures from ancient records, yet now commanding technology that surpassed the Council's, he realized the galaxy had changed forever. The Council would need to adapt to this new reality. Humans were no longer the primitive species they once observed. They had become something the galaxy had never seen before. In the Council diplomatic vessel, Taho and his team sat in curved chairs facing a large holographic display. The soft blue light illuminated their varied alien features as human historian Minji operated the controls. The humans had offered to share their historical archives, and Taho had accepted, eager to understand how a primitive species had achieved such advancement. We will begin with Earth as it was 400,000 years ago, said Minji. Her movements were graceful as she manipulated the display. This is when we first achieved reliable spaceflight. The hologram showed primitive rockets, then orbital stations, then bases on Earth's moon. Taho watched with growing interest as the timeline advanced. Instead of expanding outward as most species do, explained Minji, we focused inward. We mastered our solar system first. The images shifted to show massive space habitats orbiting Earth. Thousands of humans lived and worked in these artificial worlds. Then came the mining operations, entire asteroids being hollowed out and transformed into habitats. The moons of the gas giants became bases for further exploration and resource extraction. Most Council species reach for the stars immediately upon discovering FTL travel, noted Science Officer Jinsu. Your approach was unusual. We had time, replied Minji with a small smile, and we had no knowledge of other civilizations to rush toward. Our isolation shaped our development. The timeline advanced further. The images showed a dramatic new phase of human expansion. The construction of the Dyson swarm. Millions of solar collectors began to encircle the star, each capturing energy and beaming it to wherever it was needed. This is remarkable, whispered Tao. A Dyson structure has been theorized by many Council races, but none have attempted construction. It took us nearly 50,000 years to complete, said Engineer Sunwoo, who had joined the presentation. His uniform bore different markings than Minji's. The first collectors were crude, but each generation improved the design. Eventually, we captured over 85% of our star's energy output. With unlimited energy came unlimited potential, Minji continued. Biological immortality was achieved in the year 12,463 by our calendar. Mind state transfers followed shortly after. The hologram showed humans in medical chambers, their bodies being repaired at the cellular level. Then it displayed something even more remarkable. Human minds being scanned and transferred into new bodies, or into digital environments. You copied yourselves? Asked Medical Officer Dury, speaking for the first time. Not exactly, replied Sunwoo. The process preserves continuity of consciousness. The mind moves, it isn't copied. Early versions required new biological bodies, but eventually we mastered synthetic forms and digital environments. The display showed humans who appeared to be made of light, others with bodies clearly mechanical, but moving with perfect human grace. Some existed in vast digital worlds of their own creation. While the council species fought their wars and established their hierarchies, said Sunwoo, we evolved rapidly. We transcended biological limitations while maintaining our humanity. Tahoe's crest flattened against his head, a sign of distress in his species. Your kind has surpassed biological death itself. Not all choose immortality, Minji explained. Some still prefer natural lifespans. But yes, those who wish it can live for thousands of years, changing bodies or environments as desired. The final images showed humans living in virtual paradises within massive computation substrates, controlling physical bodies when needed, their civilization consuming the energy of an entire star to power their existence. Our population now stands at approximately 42 trillion minds, said Minji. Most exist in digital environments, but we maintain billions of physical forms for interaction with the material universe. Tahoe felt a chill move through his body. In just 500,000 years, these creatures had surpassed technologies the council races had deemed theoretically impossible. His own species had been spacefaring for over 3 million years, yet had never imagined such achievements, let alone accomplished them. There is something I do not understand, said Tahoe carefully. If your kind achieved such advancement, why reveal yourselves now? Why not continue your development in isolation? Minji and Sunwoo exchanged glances. That is a complex question, replied Sunwoo. But the simple answer is, the universe is not empty, and not all that exists is benign. We detected something, Minji added, something beyond the galactic rim, something old, and we believe the galaxy will need to stand united when it arrives. The holographic display changed to show strange distortions in space, moving slowly but deliberately toward the Milky Way. What is that? Whispered Jinsu, leaning forward. We don't know, admitted Minji, but it's coming. Our calculations suggest it will reach the outer rim in approximately 250,000 years. This is why we finally revealed ourselves, said Sunwoo. We believe the council species and humanity must prepare together. What comes may require all our combined knowledge and technology. Tahoe sat back in his chair, his 4 hearts beating rapidly. In a single day, his understanding of the galaxy had been upended. Humans, once deemed primitive and unworthy of contact, now stood as perhaps the most advanced civilization in known space, and they spoke of threats from beyond that even they could not fully comprehend. We will need to report this to the full council, Tahoe said finally. Of course, replied Minji. But there is much more to show you first. Our journey has only just begun. The Grand Council chamber on Nexus Station had stood for over 50,000 years. Its walls were made of stone quarried from the sacred mountains of the founding worlds. The round table at its center had witnessed countless debates and decisions that shaped galactic history. Today, that ancient chamber was in chaos. This is an existential threat, roared Counselor Hyuk, pounding his fist on the stone table. His scaled skin had turned a deep orange with agitation. These humans possess technology that could obliterate our civilizations with a thought. Representatives from 36 spacefaring civilizations filled the chamber. Some floated in anti-gravity fields. Others stood on specialized platforms. A few existed as holographic projections from worlds too distant for physical travel. All spoke at once, their translators struggling to keep up. The reports from Admiral Tahoe cannot be accurate, insisted Counselor Bium, his crystalline form glinting under the chamber lights. No species advances from stone tools to star-encompassing technology in a mere 500,000 years. The evidence is clear, countered Science Director Era. She projected images captured by Tahoe's fleet. The humans have constructed a Dyson swarm around their star. They have hollowed out planets. They have achieved biological immortality. Fear rippled through the chamber. Several counselors began speaking at once. I move that we immediately marshal our combined fleets. Hook continued, raising his voice above the others. We must confront this threat while we still can. And what would our fleets do against a civilization that can fold space at will? Asked Military Commander Doyo. The human vessels materialized around our exploratory fleet without warning. Our weapons would be useless. Then we must strike now, before they spread beyond their system. Huck insisted. Every moment we delay gives them more time to prepare an invasion. The chamber erupted again. Some counselors agreed with Hook, arguing for immediate military action. Others called for caution, pointing out that the humans had made no aggressive moves despite their technological advantage. Elder Jin, the oldest member of the council, raised a gnarled hand for silence. His species was known for their longevity, and Jin had personally served on the council for over 3,000 years. His skin hung loose on his frame, and his eyes had faded to a pale yellow, but his mind remained sharp. I have found something in our deepest archives, Jan said, his voice barely above a whisper. The chamber quieted. Even Huck settled back into his seat, respecting the elder's authority. Jian activated a small device on his wrist. A projection appeared above the center of the table, ancient survey notes from the first Council expedition to Earth. The image showed primitive humans huddled around fires, using crude stone tools to hunt and build simple shelters. The Council's classification appeared beneath the images. Species shows unusual problem-solving capabilities, but lacks fundamental understanding of natural laws. Too primitive for contact. Recommendation: check again in 1 million years. We're only halfway to our scheduled return, whispered Counselor Neri, her feathered crest flattening against her head. And they've already surpassed us. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The protocols for dealing with developing species were clear. Civilizations were to be left alone until they achieved certain technological milestones, then contacted and invited to join the galactic community under careful guidance. No protocol existed for a species that leapfrogged the entire process and emerged with technology beyond the Council's understanding. There is more, said Jen. The survey team noted unusual cognitive patterns in even the most primitive humans. They could imagine solutions to problems they had never encountered. They created art that depicted things that did not exist. They seemed driven by curiosity beyond immediate survival needs. So they were unusual, said Hook. That makes them more dangerous, not less. I propose a diplomatic mission, said Ambassador Doyun, rising from her seat. Her bioluminescent patterns pulsed with calm blues and greens. We must learn their intentions before considering more drastic measures. And if their intentions are conquest? Asked Hook. Then we would be no worse off than we are now, replied Doyun. But if they wished us harm, they could have attacked when they first detected us. According to Admiral Tahoe, they have been observing council activities for centuries. The debate continued for hours. Plans were proposed and rejected. Historical precedents were cited and dismissed as irrelevant. Fear and uncertainty permeated the chamber. Unbeknownst to the council, their supposedly secure chamber had been under observation the entire time. Half a solar system away, Human Intelligence Officer Juwu sat in a monitoring station, watching their deliberations with mild amusement. The station existed in a pocket of folded space-time, undetectable by conventional sensors. Juwu had been assigned to monitor the emergency council session and report any significant developments to Earth Command. They're terrified. Juwu noted to her colleague, Minyuk, who monitored a different section of the council facility. Can you blame them? Minyuk replied through their neural link. We've upended their entire understanding of galactic development. They've been the dominant force in this region for millions of years. Do you think they'll attack? Juwu asked. No, said Minyuk. They're already realizing their weapons would be useless, but they'll try to gather intelligence. They'll want to know our weaknesses. Juwu nodded, continuing to watch as the Council finally agreed to send a diplomatic mission while secretly preparing defensive measures. She tagged this information for immediate transmission to Earth. "They've been the dominant species for so long," she observed. "They've forgotten what it's like to feel vulnerable." "Well," Minhyuk replied, "they're about to remember." The human vessel Prometheus dwarfed the Council diplomatic shuttle. As the shuttle docked in a cavernous bay, the Council delegation marveled at the scale of human engineering. The docking bay alone could have housed their entire diplomatic fleet. Captain Hana greeted them at the airlock. She was tall for a human, with short black hair and eyes that seemed to hold ancient wisdom despite her youthful appearance. "Welcome aboard the Prometheus," she said with a slight bow. "I'm Captain Hana. I'll be guiding your tour today." The delegation consisted of 5 Council representatives. Councillor Minho, a blue-skinned diplomat whose species was known for their strategic thinking; Science Authority Jaehyun, an expert in theoretical physics; Security Chief Daehyun, who constantly scanned for threats; Cultural Attaché Soman, tasked with understanding human society; and Admiral Chunho, who had insisted on accompanying the delegation despite his obvious discomfort. "This vessel serves as both diplomatic envoy and research platform," explained Captain Hana as she led the Council delegation through corridors that seemed to shift subtly as they walked. "It was constructed 200 years ago, but has been continuously upgraded." "How many crew members serve aboard?" asked Cultural Attaché Soman. "Physically present. About 200, replied Hana. "But over 15,000 human minds connect to the ship's systems at any given time." Councillor Minho tried to appear unimpressed, though his skin had paled to a sickly blue. "Your technology seems adequate." Hana smiled. "Perhaps a demonstration would help you understand our capabilities better." She led them into a transport chamber. There was a brief sensation of movement, though Admiral Chunho's sensitive inner ear detected no acceleration. The doors opened to reveal a vast chamber stretching hundreds of meters in every direction. At its center, suspended in midair, floated what appeared to be a miniature sun, a perfect sphere of roiling plasma contained within an invisible barrier. The Council delegation instinctively stepped back. The heat should have been overwhelming, yet the temperature in the chamber remained pleasant. "This is our primary power source," said Engineer Woojin, who waited for them by the entrance. His uniform bore insignia indicating his specialty in energy systems. It contained stellar fragment operating at 43% efficiency. "Impossible," whispered Science Authority Joyen. Her sensory tendrils extended toward the sphere, analyzing its emissions. "Star containment is theoretically." "Theories evolve," interrupted Woojin, "as do civilizations." Admiral Chunho stepped forward. "The energy requirements to maintain such containment would exceed the output of the fragment itself." "That would be true using conventional field technology," agreed Woojin. "But we don't use conventional fields. Our containment system exists partially outside normal spacetime." Jaehyun's scientific curiosity overcame her caution. "You've created a stable pocket dimension." "Something like that," said Woojin with a smile, "though we call it phase-shifted reality anchoring." Councillor Minho cleared his throat. "Impressive parlor tricks aside, we came to discuss diplomatic relations between the Council and humanity." "Of course," said Captain Hana. "We have prepared a comprehensive proposal for peaceful coexistence and knowledge exchange." A sudden alarm blared. 3 sharp tones that echoed through the chamber. Captain Hana frowned, touching her temple. Her eyes unfocused briefly. "It seems some Council vessels have broken formation and are activating weapons systems," she said calmly. The delegation froze in horror as screens materialized around them, showing 3 Council warships accelerating toward the human fleet, weapons charged. Security Chief Daehyun recognized them immediately. Stealth attack vessels from the militant Zorgan Confederation, a Council member known for their aggressive stance toward potential threats. "This is not authorized," stammered Councillor Minho. "I assure you, the Council did not." "Please remain calm," said Hana. "Our automated defense systems will resolve this without casualties." Before the council representatives could protest, the attacking warships simply stopped. Their engines died, weapons powered down, and they hung motionless in space. "We've temporarily suspended their technological functionality," explained Hana. No one was harmed. The delegation stared in silence, finally understanding the true gap between their civilizations. "How?" asked Science Authority Jian. At that distance, with no visible countermeasures, Engineer Wujin gestured toward the contained star fragment. "The same principles that allow us to contain this power source allow us to interact with energy systems at a distance. We simply adjusted the quantum states of their power distribution networks." Security Chief Dahian's threat assessment training told him something profound. Against such technology, the combined military might of the entire council would be meaningless. The humans could disable their weapons, their ships, perhaps even their planetary defense systems, without firing a single shot. "I apologize for this incident," said Councillor Minho formally. "The actions of these vessels do not represent council policy." "We understand," replied Captain Hana. "Fear often drives preemptive action. That's why we wanted you to see our technology directly, not as a threat, but as an assurance." "An assurance?" asked Admiral Chono. "Yes," said Hana. "An assurance that if we wanted conflict, we could have initiated it at any time over the past few centuries. Instead, we reveal ourselves now seeking partnership." She gestured, and the screen shifted to show a different image, what appeared to be a massive distortion in space, moving slowly toward the galaxy. "There are threats in this universe that will require all of us working together," Hana continued. "Our advancement wasn't merely for our own benefit. We've been preparing for what's coming." The delegation looked at the strange anomaly on the screen. Even without explanation, they could sense its wrongness, its alien nature. "What is that?" whispered Cultural Attaché Soman. "That," said Captain Hana, "is why we need each other." The Grand Council chamber on Nexus Station had never hosted a human before. The ancient hall, with its towering columns and vaulted ceiling, had seen representatives from thousands of worlds over its long history, but never a being from Earth. Today, that changed. Representative Junho walked calmly to the center of the circular chamber. He wore a simple white uniform without decoration or rank insignia. The chamber quieted as he took his position on the speaking platform. 36 council leaders watched from their assigned seats, their varied forms representing the diversity of intelligent life in the galaxy. "I thank the council for this opportunity to address you directly," Junho began. His voice carried naturally throughout the chamber without amplification. "Earth understands the shock our emergence has caused among your civilizations." High Chancellor Sungo leaned forward in his seat. His crystalline body refracted the light as he moved. "You appear before us after refusing all established protocols for emerging species," Sungo stated. "You developed technologies in secret. You monitored council activities without announcing your presence. Many see these actions as hostile." Chunho nodded. "From your perspective, I understand these concerns, but we had reasons for our approach." "What reasons could justify such actions?" asked Councillor Mirai, her feathered crest rising in agitation. "Survival," replied Chunho simply. "When we first detected council observation posts near our system, we studied your history. We learned how developing species are often guided. Their technologies limited, their expansion controlled." Murmurs spread through the chamber. What Chunho described was indeed standard council policy. Developing species were carefully managed to prevent them from becoming threats to galactic stability. "Earth does not seek dominion or conquest," Chunho stated clearly. "We propose instead a restructuring of the Galactic Council, with Earth as a founding member." The murmurs grew louder. Several councillors rose to object, but High Chancellor Sungo raised his hand for silence. "You propose to join as equals what has taken other species millions of years to achieve," said Sungo. "On what basis do you make this request?" "On the basis of mutual survival," replied Chunho. "In good faith, we offer technological exchanges beneficial to all species, medical advances, energy solutions, resource management systems, technologies that could elevate all council worlds. "And what do you want in return?" asked High Chancellor Sungo. "Partnership," replied Chono. His expression grew serious. "The universe is vast, ancient, and not empty. Our long-range sensors have detected something approaching from beyond the galactic rim." Chunho made a simple gesture, and holographic images appeared above the council floor. They showed strange distortions in spacetime, moving slowly but inexorably toward the Milky Way. "What are we seeing?" asked Science Director Yuna, leaning forward to study the images. "We call them void currents," explained Juno. "Regions where the fundamental laws of physics are different. They move through the universe like slow waves, and one is approaching our galaxy." "This could be a deception," suggested Security Counselor Tejo. "A fabrication to force our cooperation." "You have the right to verify our data," replied Juno calmly. "But time is precious. Our most conservative estimates give us 500,000 years before the void current reaches our galaxy." "500,000 years is a vast time span," noted Elder Jan. "Many council species have existed for less time." "500,000 years ago, we were using stone tools," said Chono. "500,000 years from now, we will need allies who can stand beside us as equals when that arrives." The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The holographic images continued to display the strange anomaly approaching their galaxy. "What happens when these void currents reach inhabited systems?" asked High Chancellor Sungo. "We don't know precisely," admitted Chono. "But our models suggest that technology as we understand it will cease to function. Biological life may be altered in unpredictable ways. Stars may change their fusion processes. And you believe we can stop this?" asked Counselor Mireille. "Not stop, perhaps, but adapt. Prepare. Find ways to shield our civilizations." Shono's voice grew stronger. "Earth has been preparing for this since we first glimpsed these anomalies. Now we invite you to prepare with us." High Chancellor Sungo stood. His crystalline form seemed to absorb the light around him as he considered humanity's representative. "You ask for an equal place at our table," said Sungo. "Yet your civilization is young by our standards. What assurance do we have that humans will not use their advanced technology against council worlds?" "You have seen our capabilities," replied Chono. "If conquest were our goal, we could have begun already. Instead, we come before you openly, seeking alliance against a threat that endangers us all." Sunho nodded slowly. "I move that we establish a special committee to verify the human data regarding these void currents and to examine their proposed technologies." "We accept this proposal," said Chono, "and we invite council scientists to Earth to see what we have built. Our libraries, our archives, our research, all will be open to you." One by one, the council representatives stood, some in fear, some in awe, but all recognizing the dawn of a new era in galactic history. "The council has existed for 10 million years," said Elder Jan, rising shakily to his feet. "We have guided countless species, witnessed the birth and death of civilizations. Yet today, I feel we face our greatest challenge and perhaps find our greatest allies." The formal vote was taken. The motion passed. Earth would join the Galactic Council, not as a junior member, but as a founding partner in a new alliance. As Chunho left the council chamber, he smiled faintly. Humanity had walked a long path from its primitive beginnings. They had faced extinction many times. They had transformed their bodies, their minds, their very understanding of existence, and now they would help transform the galaxy. Humanity, once deemed too primitive for contact, would now leave the galaxy into an uncertain future, 500,000 years ahead of schedule.